Welcome back to the podcast. We're going through how to overcome plateaus, self-sabotage, and hitting glass ceilings in business, relationships, and life in general. I mainly deal with people, or help people, I should say, with their own self-mastery, understanding who they are, what your purpose is, what your values are, what your vision is, who you authentically are, help you overcome the unconscious, subconscious limitations which are stopping you from actually growing, breaking through in the areas that are most important to you. And that generally shows up a lot in your business, in your relationships, but it shows up everywhere, with your parenting, with your friends, with your family, with your health, shows up everywhere. But if that sounds interesting to you, if you are plateauing right now, you're not breaking through, you're self-sabotage and you're taking 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, this podcast will be for you. With that being said, I'm going to rock and roll straight into the content. So, most people have heard of this term before or heard of this rule before. It's called Pareto's Law. And it states that 80%, it's the 80-20 rule, if you haven't heard of it. So it states that 80% of success in anything in life, 80% is psychology, mindset, 20% is skill set. Now, the 80-20 rule can be used in various different ways, but that's the one I'm focusing on for today's video. So 80% of your results in anything is down to your mindset. 20% is the skill itself. I'm going to focus on health and fitness because so many people can relate to that. And then I'll go to business and relationships. But health's just such an easy example because everyone can relate to health at some time in their life. Now, let me ask you the question. Is the skill of how to be relatively healthy and fit and have energy, is the skill of how to do it so fucking complicated that no one can figure it out? No. It is pretty straightforward. I've come from the fitness industry. I was there for 8 years, owned gyms and won't go down that pathway. But the main things you need to do to be relatively healthy, and obviously I'm excluding like your top end athletes and people with specific conditions and all that stuff. I'm talking about your average Joes, your average people. For the average person to be relatively healthy, move your body for 30 to 60 minutes per day. Get some solid quality sleep, 8 hours ideally. Eat good food. Don't eat processed shit. Eat some organic, healthy food. Drink some water and get some like micronutrients into yourself. Get some vitamins, minerals, and all that stuff through like good food. Like if you literally do that, you're going to be relatively healthy. But why is majority of the planet, or I guess first world countries like America, like Australia, why are so many people overweight? Why are so many people unhealthy? Is it because we can't figure out the skill? Absolutely fucking not. Jump on Google, jump on YouTube, go to a gym, find a personal trainer. Now, are there some strategies that don't work as well as others? Of course. But if you just keep going, you're going to figure it out, right? So the skill is simple. The skill is easier. You do need the skill though. Don't neglect the skill. I'm going to touch on both of them today. But the biggest part that most people neglect is the mindset. And the mindset, and when I say mindset, I actually mean more than just mindset. I mean your emotional health, your mental health, your psychology, your beliefs, your triggers, your trauma, your wounds, all of that. It's like the energetics of who you are, the psychology and beliefs of who you are. That's where most people fall down. Because do you know anyone, maybe you've done it yourself, where you've actually learnt a great skill, whether it's in business, how to market, how to sell, how to hire, how to scale, how to plan, how to do whatever. You've learned a really fantastic skill, but you haven't fucking followed through with it. Or maybe about relationships. You learn about date nights and connections and opening up and being vulnerable and having tough conversations. You've learned the tactics, but you haven't fucking followed through with it. Why is that? Now, I would assume, and if I was to look underneath the hood of you, I would assume that there's some pieces of your psychology, your beliefs, your mental, emotional triggers that aren't where you need to be. So if you want to be successful and break through whatever plateau that you're hitting, you need both. You need the right skills, but you also need the psychology. I'm going to share a funny story. Now, I have some notes here for the call, and this one only just downloaded just then, so I want to share this one with you. So I'm about 21 years old. Yep, 21 years old. I own 2 gyms at 21. And I'm just someone who is just so obsessed with skills and strategies. Taking action, setting goals, working, hustle, hustle, hustle. And I kind of hit a plateau. I was like, okay, I'm working really hard. I'm working like fucking 15, 16 hours a day. Wake up, hustle, go to bed, like literally stop do lead generation, then put my phone down, wake up, have a fucking 5 to 6 hours sleep, wake up, go all over again. And I was just like work, and hustle. And there's stages of life, and sometimes you need to be like that. But I was so obsessed with the skills and strategies. And I joined this mastermind, and this mastermind was $44,000 a year. And we didn't have the money to pay for it, but we found a way to pay for it because we were committed to our own growth and we wanted to figure it out. And if you're not familiar with the mastermind, essentially you sit down, and there's different versions of this, but this version of the mastermind, you sit down at a table, and there's I think 12 people at the table. And there's some people who have been there who are leaders on the table. They've been a part of the organization for a long time. And I'm 21 years old. The next youngest person is about 30, 35. There's some people in their 50s and 60s. And there's some people doing tens of millions and hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue in their business. Well, whilst I have like these 2 gyms, and I think we're doing, I don't know, 600 grand a year in revenue, not profit, just like kind of like breaking even, making a little bit of money. And like you go around one at a time, and one person who's getting mastermind, you share who you are, your business, what you do, what your problems are, and what you want help with. And in my head, I'm like, okay, I need to learn how to sell. I need to learn how to market. I need to learn skills, strategies, right? Skills and strategies, the 20%. And it comes up to me and it says, hey guys, my name's Lewis. I own gyms. We're doing this much revenue. We're doing this, blah, blah, blah. Here's all our problems. And I really need help with sales and marketing. I need help with leads. I need help with sales. I need help with like the tactics. I need help with the skills. And it's like, I just remember this so clearly because it hit me so hard. The first fucking question that I get from one of the leaders on the table, she looks at me in the eye, like fucking like death stare in the eye. And she asked me, what's your relationship like with your dad? And it was like, ugh. It was like a knife to the heart. I was like, ugh, fuck. Because I hadn't done a lot of inner work at that time. I've done a little bit. And I'm going to share some things I've done by then, but not the deep stuff, not the real stuff. And it was pretty brutal. I literally started crying like straight away. I was like, holy shit, like there's some stuff here, right? And anyways, we went through that and we unpacked that and then did a very healing, therapeutic style of a mastermind. That's the kind of style that it would be called. And then one of my pieces of homework was to read the book, The Way of the Superior Man. It's actually behind me on that. My books are quite messy, but it's behind me. Yeah, actually, is it on that pile? It's somewhere. It's one of my favorite books, The Way of the Superior Man. Really good book. Anyways, read that, worked on that, and my business started to grow because it wasn't until that point, and I'm going to share with you my screen. If you're not watching the video of this podcast, I recommend reading the video. My method that I help people with, it's called the Inspired Life Method. It's my book, it's my method, it's what I do. It's how I help people. What I got obsessed with, and this is what most people do that hit plateaus, is they get really obsessed with the skills and strategies. Taking action, how to market, how to build funnels, how to communicate and all that stuff. They focus on this part here, and it's important. It's the 80-20 rule. You do need the skills. Like I was so good at planning. I was so good at fucking taking action, talking to people, running classes. Like I was doing all these skills, but I never addressed these 2 pieces, which for me was self-mastery, knowing my purpose, knowing my values, knowing my authentic mission and vision, and especially this part, which is the inner work, which is your limiting beliefs, your wounds and traumas, your blocks and your shadows. I never, to that point, at that time in my journey, I hadn't addressed this stuff. I did a little bit. I actually did a little bit of limiting beliefs. I'd sort of touched on it, but I didn't really dig really deep into it until that mastermind where I was like, oh, okay, I got to stop just hustle. And it took me a couple more years to really get that. But yeah, that story just came through for me. So my invitation for you guys, our biggest lesson from this, and I'm going to go even deeper on this of how you can actually do this, is to focus on the skills. I don't want you to say, okay, let's never focus on skills. You do need to, and you need to have those. I like the quote that Tony Robbins uses all the time. It's like if you don't have the skills and you're super motivated, you're super inspired, you got all this energy, and you're fucking ready to rock and roll, but you haven't got the skills. You're like someone who's running east looking for a sunset. You could be so fucking motivated, so inspired, you could work through all your shit, but if you're doing the wrong thing, you're gonna get the wrong result. So you do need the skills. Please don't neglect the skills from this video. But my invitation to you is to go deeper onto the mindset, the energy, the limiting beliefs, the triggers, the wounds, understanding who you truly are. Because a rising tide raises all boats. And knowing who you are, knowing identifying your blind spots, which is not always easy. That's why you get a coach and you get someone to work with who can help you with that. And healing through your triggers, wounds, limitations will allow you to access more of who you are, which will get you to take more action, which will get you to find more skills, which will get you to follow through with more skills. Now, I've done a ton of inner healing in my journey, and I could share with you so many like processes I've done, from breath work to limiting beliefs, NLP, DeMartini, Reiki healing, breath work, meditation, all the above. But I'm just going to share a couple that come to me now. The first one that I did, actually I'll use this one. So I went to an event with Jack Delosa, for anyone in Australia. He's a really good entrepreneur, and he's a great great mentor, great business coach, and he blends the two really well, the business and the mental stuff. And I went to one of his events. It was just a 2-day event. It was really good. And we went down there and we did a limiting belief exercise. And I'd done this before. I'd done versions of this before. I think I was 25 at the time, so a couple of years ago now. And we did this exercise. We went through a limiting belief exercise. So if you're not familiar with beliefs, your beliefs are essentially the beliefs that you have about yourself, about the world, and how the world is. Now, there's a really good quote from Wayne Dyer, Dr. Wayne Dyer. His book's behind me as well. Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life. Really good book. And one of his quotes that I love is, you don't see things the way they are. You see things the way you are. What that means is whatever beliefs you have about the world is what you see. Your beliefs are the filters in which you see life. If you believe all men are assholes, guess what fucking men you're going to attract into your life? If you believe the world's against you, you're going to attract that into your life. If you believe that money is evil and money doesn't grow on trees and money, you're not good with money and you've got a bad relationship with money, you are not going to make any money. And if you do make money, you'll magically fucking get rid of it, right? If you believe scaling a business is hard and challenging and difficult, that's what you're going to experience. So, and the thing is, you can't see the forest through the trees. When you're in the Matrix, I rewatched that movie the other day. When you're in the Matrix, you don't know you're in the Matrix. You need to take the red pill, right? Which can be a coach, which can be a healer, which can be a spiritual journey, which can be an awakening or whatever it may be. And anyways, back to the story is I'm in this event and we do a limiting belief exercise, and there's processes to find your limiting beliefs. I've got 4 ways to find it. Number 1, you might already be conscious of limiting beliefs. I literally ran a process for my community last night. So you might be aware of a limiting belief. I'm not enough. I'm not worthy. I'm ugly. I'm scared. I'm stupid. I'm not good with money, or whatever it may be. Second is to have someone reflect back to you. So it's like when people have a level of awareness where they can actually challenge you on your beliefs. And I do this all the time with my friends and family. Some people fucking hate me for it, but soz, that's who I am. And it's like, if I hear someone say something that's purely limiting to them, I'm going to hold them account. I'm going to challenge them in a healthy way. Say, hey, look, do you realize what you just said? Is that really true? Is that the full truth? Or is that just your truth? Is that your limited truth, right? You can have a trigger. So a trigger, I've got a quote. I'm going way off script for my notes that I wrote down, but there's a quote that I did write down was, to the degree that you resist reality is the degree that you suffer, right? So whenever you have resistance, when you get emotionally triggered, your nervous system gets activated and you're not actually in fight or flight. You're not in danger. Like a tiger's not actually there, which is hopefully 90% of your life. So when you get activated, you get triggered. You shut down, you disassociate, you get angry, you get frustrated, or whatever shows up for you. That resistance is revealing a limiting belief or a wound you haven't healed through. A quote that I use all the time: nothing triggers you, it reveals what's inside of you. So you can be aware of your beliefs, you can have someone reflect back to you, or you can be aware of your triggers and reflections because they're revealing the constraints you haven't worked through yet. Find the resistance and lean into it. You'll find some healing to do. And then the 4th way is to use a probing tool, where I've got plenty of those where I help people. We used probing tools last night to do that. So anyways, back to this event. I'm at this event, Jack Delosa, and we go through a limiting belief process, and I come aware of, he got us to become aware of our own limiting belief. And at that point, when I was 25 or 24, I think I was 25, and my belief that I recognized was, I don't know. That was my belief. I want to build a business, but I don't know how to do it. I want to start my own coaching business, but I don't know how to do it. I want to write a book, but I don't know how to do it. I don't know. And that was the belief that was holding me back. And I was good at skill. I built 3 businesses by that time, 3 gyms. I'd sold 2 of them. I still had 1 under management running without me. So I had some decent skills. I had some decent beliefs, but you've always got more limitations, right? And if you believe you have no more to do, there's your fucking limitation right there, champion. You've always got more. You've always got more. Show me a single human being who's never triggered. I'm yet to find one. And if you're a human that's never triggered, I'll challenge you that you're disassociating and you're not fucking showing up in life and exposing yourself to your edges. Everyone has triggers. Everyone has things to heal through, right? So anyways, the belief was I don't know. And that belief was holding me back. It's like, okay, well, I want to write a book, but I don't know how to do it. And it shuts it off. Well, I want to start speaking on stages, but I don't know how to do that. So I stopped doing it. So I identified a limiting belief. We went through a limiting belief process, got rid of the process. And then you rewrite the belief and you dissolve it and allow the other one to come through. And the new belief I now recognize and I live by, and it's the filter I see life through, is everything is figure-outable. Everything's figure-outable. If you don't know how to do it, Google it, YouTube it. Jump on my fucking epic podcast. Go listen to my podcast, right? I'll give you some answers. Come work with me if you want to. Everything's figure-outable. And then that belief has allowed me to expand into more of who I am. This is my definition of inner work. I'm writing a book. If you're not aware, I'm writing a book at the moment. It'll be out October 18th, 2024. Grab yourself a copy or two. And my quote is in there of what inner work is. My quote on inner work is healing and dissolving the blocks that are hindering or hiding your true self. If anyone's familiar with the Statue of David quote, that's used a lot in self-development. Michelangelo made the Statue of David, and someone asked him, how'd you make such a beautiful piece of art? How'd you make this beautiful statue? And his answer was beautiful. He said, David was always in the statue. I just removed everything that wasn't him. That's inner healing right there. That's identifying those beliefs that are limiting you and your trigger wounds that are triggering you and hindering you as well, identifying them, healing them, dissolving them to allow yourself to express more of who you are. I want to finish with this. I've gone way off track with this podcast. I'll give you some steps to finish it off though. When what you do is the fullest expression of who you are, you will do your life's best work. When you show up as your full self, when you know your purpose, if you're watching the video, when you know your purpose, your authentic purpose, if you know your true values, and most people don't know what values are, go watch episode 200 of this podcast. It's a free training on values. If you know your authentic mission and vision, so who you are authentically, where you're going authentically, and you continuously work through your shit, you identify your limitations, you identify your triggers, your resistance, your wounds, you heal through them, which gives you more access to who you are. Then you combine that with skills. You combine that with the strategies. Because again, I don't want you to neglect that, because a great strategy can save you decades, right? If you're running east looking for a sunset and someone says, hey brother, hey sister, run that way instead, it's going to give you a better result. You're going to make more progress. So you do need the skills and strategies. I just don't want you to get too obsessed about them. I want you to balance that with the inner work, identifying your true purpose, healing through your stuff, identifying your subconscious beliefs that aren't serving you, healing them, rewriting them, dissolving them, healing through the triggers, and allowing you to access more of your true self, more of your full potential. Because right now, you are being the best version of your limited self. I'll say that again. You are being the best version of your limited self. So my invitation is to lean into more of the 80%. Go find some skills. I can help you with skills as well. I like to balance the two because I'm quite a structured system process person, but I'm also such a transformational, authentic, find your purpose, be who you truly are, heal through your shit to allow you to access more of your potential to follow through with those skills. So my invitation, my two questions I got for you to wrap this up. Number one, do you know who you truly are? I have a few questions for you. Do you know who you truly are? Do you know your purpose? Do you know your values? Do you know your mission and vision? If you don't, start to find them. How to do that? You can work with me. Number two, do you have the skills needed to get there? Now, if you're not there right now, the answer is no. You are definitely missing some skills. You need the skills. Look for the skills. Do you need to learn how to market? Do you need to learn how to communicate? Do you need to learn how to set boundaries? Do you need to learn how to build a website? Or do you need to learn how to hire someone? Do you need to learn how to lead people? Do you need to learn how to build systems? Like, the skills are important. Go learn the skills. And lucky last, my favorite. What triggers, wounds, and limitations do you need to work through? What do you have shame, guilt, fear? What do you avoid? What parts of you do you not show to the world? Work through that stuff, because those are the energetic, emotional triggers, and therefore puppet masters, silent puppet masters that are controlling your thoughts, actions, and results. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you got value from it, please share it with a friend. Give it a like. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. And if you're interested in working with me, you can see the details below. I've got a conscious community, which I'd love to have you a part of. I do one-on-one coaching. It's application only. You can reach out to me if that feels right for you. And I hope you got some value from this podcast. I'll speak to you soon.